In a village nestled between rolling hills and whispering woods lived a girl named Ilara. She wasn't known for her strength or her wit, but for the peculiar cloak she always wore. It wasn't made of wool or silk, but of something ethereal, something that shimmered and shifted like captured starlight. The villagers called it her cloak of light. This cloak was Ilara's constant companion, a gift from her grandmother who told her, "This light is your kindness, your courage, your hope. Wear it and it will grow brighter." As a child, Ilara believed her. Whenever she shared her bread with a hungry traveler, the cloak would pulse with a warm golden glow. When she stood up for a friend, it would sparkle with silver intensity. Each small act of goodness was like adding another thread of light to her magical garments. But as she grew older, the whispers of the world began to dim her light. Some villagers grew envious. "Why should she have such a thing?" they'd mutter. Others mocked her. "It's just a trick of the light, a silly fantasy," they'd say. The doubt, like creeping shadows, started to find their way into Ilara's heart. She began to wonder if they were right. Was her light just a childish dream? One day, a great shadow fell upon the land. Not a shadow from a cloud, but a deep, sorrowful gloom that settled over everything. The crops began to wither, laughter faded from the streets, and a heavy silence filled the air. The villagers huddled in their homes, their own inner lights flickering and fading. They had forgotten how to hope. The shadow fed on their despair, growing darker and colder with each passing day. Ilara felt the chill too. She looked at her cloak, and for the first time, it seemed dim. Its brilliant light reduced to a faint, fragile shimmer. The words of the villagers echoed in her mind. Maybe her light was just a trick. Maybe it wasn't real. She felt the urge to hide it away, to let the darkness consume her, just like everyone else. It seemed easier than trying to fight. As she sat by her window, watching the gray, lifeless world outside, she saw a little boy trip and fall. No one moved to help him. He sat in the dirt, crying silently, his small shoulders shaking. In that moment, something stirred within Ilara. She remembered her grandmother's words. "This light is your kindness." She couldn't just sit and watch. Hesitantly, she walked outside. She knelt beside the boy and offered him her hand. "Are you all right?" she asked, her voice a small sound in the overwhelming silence. As he looked up, a single, tiny spark from her cloak leaped forth and danced in his tear-filled eyes. He took her hand, and she helped him up, brushing the dirt from his clothes. It was a small act, almost insignificant, but as she walked him home, she noticed her cloak was a little brighter. It wasn't a dazzling display, just a soft, steady warmth. Emboldened, she sought out an elderly woman shivering in her home and shared her blanket. The cloak's light intensified. She started telling stories to the children, tales of sunlit meadows and brave heroes. With each story, with each shared smile, the light grew, pushing back against the oppressive gloom. Soon, others began to notice. Inspired by Ilara's quiet courage, a baker shared his last loaf of bread. A musician played a cheerful tune on his long, silent flute. A woman planted a single, hopeful seed in the barren ground. With each act of kindness and connection, small lights began to appear all over the village. People were weaving their own cloaks of light, not with magic, but with their own rediscovered hope and compassion. The great shadow couldn't stand it. It thrived on isolation and despair, but it recoiled from the warmth of community. As the village lights joined together, they formed a dawn of their own making, and the shadow receded, dissolving like mist in the morning sun. Ilara stood in the center of the village, her cloak now blazing with the light of 1,000 stars. But she was no longer the only one. She was surrounded by a community, each person wearing their own beautiful, unique glow. She finally understood. The light wasn't just hers to keep, it was a gift to be shared, a fire to be passed from one hand to another. It wasn't about a magical cloak, but about the choice to be a light for others, especially when the world feels dark. And that is a magic we all carry within us. Thanks for watching. Remember to share your own light, and if you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more. See you next time.